Buster Blader was Yugi's ultimate weapon to take down Kaiba's dragons, and even today there's no better deck if you need to slay some dragons. So first we're doing the deck profile and then I'll showcase some basic combos the deck can do to show you what it's capable of. And now without any further ado, let's get started.
Alright, before we dive into the main deck, let's first go over some of the key cards to understand the game plan of the Buster Blader strategy. Starting with Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman and his companion Buster Dragon. Buster Blader is the ultimate dragon slayer in the entire game. It forces all dragon monsters your opponent controls into defense position and prevents them from activating their effects. It also gains 1000 attack and defense for every dragon on the field and in the graveyard. Plus, it deals piercing battle damage, but it cannot attack directly. So this is obviously really good when you're playing against dragons, but Buster Dragon is what makes this deck really terrifying. It changes all your opponent's monsters into dragons, allowing Buster Blader to negate all their activated monster effects. Absolutely insane. On top of that, it has a quick effect that lets you equip a Destruction Sword card to a Buster Blader monster you control. And the card we want to equip is Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, which prevents your opponent from special summoning from the extra deck while it's equipped. The goal is to get these three pieces, Buster Blader, Buster Dragon and Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, on the field as quickly and consistently as possible to lock your opponent out of the game. To achieve this, we have two key cards: Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman and Destruction Sword Memories. Prologue special summons Buster Dragon straight from the extra deck by sending a Destruction Sword card and a Buster Blader monster from the deck to the graveyard. And the best part? Ash Blossom can't stop this because sending the cards to the graveyard is part of the cost, not the effect. So this card summons out Buster Dragon and sends a Destruction Sword card to the graveyard. And we want to send our other trap, Destruction Sword Memories, to the graveyard, because its graveyard effect is what we're after. You can banish it to fusion summon Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman from your extra deck by banishing the materials from the graveyard. This means we can summon out both our boss monsters by just having this trap card and one dragon in our graveyard. Okay, now that we've explained the strategy, let's take a look at the main deck and the cards that help us execute the game plan as consistently as possible. First, we run 3 copies of Buster Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman. This is one of your key starters as it searches for any Destruction Sword card when it's normal summoned. Most importantly, it searches for the Prologue trap card. This means that on its own, Buster Whelp can bring out both Buster Blader and Buster Dragon, which I'll show you later in the combo section of the video. Its other effects are very situational. You can tribute Buster Whelp to special summon Buster Blader from your hand or graveyard. And you can also special summon it from the graveyard by discarding a Destruction Sword card if you already have Buster Blader on the field. Next, we have 2 copies of Buster Blader the Destruction Sword Master and 1 copy of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. Destruction Sword Master becomes Buster Blader while on the field or in the graveyard. However, you'll rarely actually summon this monster. It mainly serves as a material to summon Buster Dragon or the Buster Blader fusion monster. As for the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, we just run 1 copy since it's the piece we use to lock out the opponent out of the extra deck, as explained earlier in the video. And for the last Buster Blader cards in the main deck, we have 3 copies of the Prologue trap card to bring out Buster Dragon, and 2 copies of Memories to summon the Buster Blader fusion monster. Finally, we play 3 copies of Trap Trick. This card lets you set any normal trap directly from the deck by banishing another copy of it. And the set card can be activated immediately. The only drawback is that you can only activate 1 trap card for the rest of the turn. So these are essentially 3 extra copies of Prologue, which is really good. Next, we have 3 copies of Black Metal Dragon. When it's sent from the field to the graveyard, it can search for the Darkness Metal Dragon, which is incredibly valuable in this deck. Darkness Metal can be special summoned by banishing a dragon you control, and once per turn it lets you special summon a dragon from your hand or graveyard. With just 1 Black Metal Dragon you can easily make a Link 2, and we have some powerful Link 2 options in our extra deck. Now I want to quickly mention 2 cards I'm currently playtesting from Rage of the Abyss. Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon and Max Metal Morph. I'm just using these classic cards as proxies for now for testing purposes. I have not playtested a ton yet with these cards, but I do really like them so far. They can very easily be incorporated into some combos, which I'll show you later in the video. Full Metal Dragon can only be special summoned using Max Metal Morph. Once summoned, it can negate the activation of a spell, trap or monster effect, and inflict damage to the opponent equal to the original attack of one of their attack position monsters. Max Metalmorph summons Full Metal Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard by tributing a level 5 or higher dragon monster, and then it equips itself to Red Eyes. It increases its attack and defense by 400, and protects it from being targeted and destroyed by spell or monster effects. This makes Red Eyes Full Metal a pretty big threat on the field and difficult to deal with. The nice thing is, if you draw Full Metal Dragon, you can reveal it from your hand, set Max Metalmorph directly from your deck face down, then shuffle Full Metal back into the deck. This monster is pretty easy to summon in this deck because we have a lot of level 5 or higher dragon monsters, and Black Metal Dragon can search for it. Now onto the Bestial engine, which provides both disruption and consistency. We play 3 copies of Lubellion, which can search for any Bestial monster by discarding itself, 1 copy of Magnamod, which can search for any dragon in the end phase or turn it summoned, 1 Druis Worm, which sends a special summoned monster from your opponent to the graveyard when Druis Worm is sent to the graveyard. When a Fusion, Ritual, Synchro, Exceedor or Link monster is special summoned, Baldrake can banish that monster by tributing another light or dark monster. And Saronir can send a Bestial monster or a branded spell or trap from the deck to the graveyard when it's sent to the graveyard. And each of these 4 Bestial monsters can be special summoned by banishing a light or dark monster from either graveyard. This makes them incredibly versatile for disrupting opponents who rely on light or dark monsters, while also giving you big dragon bodies on the field to apply pressure. And finally, we play 1 copy of Branded Regained. Lubellion can activate this continuous spell straight from the deck and lets you once per turn recycle a banished light or dark monster back into the deck, and then you can draw 1 card. It also allows you to special summon a Bestial monster from your graveyard if your opponent normal or special summons a monster. This card is fantastic for recycling your resources, since we banish a lot of cards with our Bestial monsters and also when we fusion summon our Buster Blader. Branded Regained keeps those cards in rotation, making this deck very good in outgrinding the opponent. Next, we also play a small Horus engine consisting of 3 Imseti, 1 Happy, and 2 King Sarcophagus. A player at the Greek Open who topped with Buster Blader also incorporated these cards into the deck, and he definitely inspired me to try these out and I really like it. King Sarcophagus is a continuous spell that protects your Horus monsters from being destroyed by non-targeting card effects. It also lets you discard 1 card to send a Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard. Imseti can search King Sarcophagus by sending itself and another card from your hand to the graveyard. And it's this discard effect from both King Sarcophagus and Imseti that really boosts this deck's consistency. We have plenty of cards that we'd rather have in the graveyard than draw into, like Destruction Sword Memories, Buster Blader or Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. The Horus cards make it easy to discard those cards while gaining additional advantage. The Horus monsters can special summon themselves from the graveyard once per turn as long as King Sarcophagus is on the field, giving you more big bodies to apply pressure or make some rank 8 Xyz plays. And that's it for all the archetype cards of the deck. Now on to the staples. The only generic hand trap I'm playing is Impermanence, because we already have a lot of Bestials, and with this deck I prefer to run more board breakers that also have utility going first. This deck is actually quite good at going second, and Imperm is of course great in both scenarios. Another card that works well in both scenarios is Forbidden Droplet, which negates the opponent's monster effects. Droplet is particularly good in this deck for the same reason as King Sarcophagus and Imseti. It lets us send cards from our hand to the graveyard to negate the opponent's monster effects equal to the number of cards we send. This allows us to send cards we don't really need to the graveyard while getting valuable disruption. Next we play 2 copies of Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. This card was also part of the deck list from the player at the Greek Open, so I decided to give it a try and it's really good. It flips all monsters on the field face down, then if either player still controls any face-up monsters they must send all of them to the graveyard. This card can be a bit difficult ruling technically. What you have to keep in mind is that it needs to flip at least 1 monster face down for the second part of the effect to work. And there has to be at least 1 monster on the field that can be attempted to flip face down. So if there are only Link monsters on the field for example, those cannot be flipped face down, which means this card cannot be activated. And the final 2 cards in the main deck are Called by the Grave to stop our opponent's hand traps, and Pot of Prosperity to boost the deck's consistency. Now for the extra deck, we have of course 2 Buster Blader fusion monsters and 2 Buster Dragons. I already explained these at the start of the video. And in addition, we also play 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. This card is really good because it's a targeting Omni Negate on the field. The Prologue Trap card destroys the Buster Dragon in the end phase of turn after it's summoned, so instead of just letting it get destroyed, we can tune it with Buster Whelp to summon Red Dragon Archfiend. I also play a couple of rank 8s for the same reason. Hope Harbinger can negate the activation of a spell card, and Photon Lord can negate a monster effect. Since Buster Dragon and the Buster Blader Fusion monster are both level 8, we can easily make these rank 8 plays when we no longer need them. Plus, the Horus monsters and Lubellion are also level 8, making rank 8 plays very accessible. Next we have a couple of Link monsters, 2 Heretic Seal and 1 Protector Whelp. Heretic Seal is one of the best monsters to end on when going first. It can bounce any face-up card your opponent controls back to the hand by tributing itself. And when it's tributed, it can also special summon any dragon from the deck with its attack and defense reduced to 0. This is very useful for special summoning any of your bestials straight from the deck. Protector Whelp can, when summoned, send 1 Destruction Sword card from the deck to the graveyard, which is great for setting up Dragon Buster. We also run a couple of Link 1s, Striker Dragon and Guard Dragon Pisty. These are mainly used to send either Buster Whelp or a Black Metal Dragon to the graveyard to get our plays going. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that Pisty locks you into summoning only dragons while it's on the field, which can be a bit awkward to play around at times. So if you're playing this deck in Master Duel, it's better to run a second Striker Dragon instead of Pisty, since in Master Duel Striker Dragon isn't limited to 1. So up until now we have 12 extra deck cards. I consider the last one as flex spots. I really like Typhon in this deck. It synergizes very well with the strategy and helps going second. And it does not negate the effects of your Buster Dragon or Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. And the last cards I'm playing is 1 IP Masquerena to summon Unicorn during the opponent's turn. But if you have SP Little Knight, you can definitely play that instead. And that's it for the deck profile. Now on to the combos. Okay, the first combo is a very simple 1-card combo. This deck does not have any insanely long, overly complicated 1-card combos, which is one of the many reasons I love this deck so much. We just need 1 Buster Whelp, normal summon it and it searches for a Destruction Sword card. So we grab the Prologue Trap card and set it onto the field. Next we link the Buster Whelp into Striker Dragon, because we need it in a graveyard as a fusion material. After that we simply end our turn. During the opponent's turn we can use our trap card. Send Buster Blader and Destruction Sword Memories to the graveyard. Then we chain the Destruction Sword Memories in the graveyard, banish it along with Buster Blader and a dragon. Then the chain resolves. Destruction Sword Memories summons Buster Blader the Destroyer Swordsman. And Prologue special summons Buster Dragon to the field. Now Buster Dragon turns all of the opponent's monsters into dragons. And Buster Blader prevents those dragon monsters from activating their effects. I faced this deck a few times on Master Duel and I've noticed that many players summon these monsters right away in the draw phase. Personally, I prefer to at least wait until my opponent commits something to the board, because it's easier for them to counter if you summon too early. For example, if they have infinite impermanence, they can just negate one of your monsters. Or they could go straight to the battle phase and use Evenly Matched. So beware of those things before you summon them out. Alright, for combo number 2 we're going to improve the end board a bit. The only thing we need in addition to Buster Whelp is an extra monster to special summon. I'll use Bestial Serenir in this case, but we won't use its effect, it's just for the extra special summon. So we start by normal summoning Buster Whelp to search for the Prologue Trap card. Then link it off into Striker Dragon like before. Next we banish Buster Whelp to special summon Serenir, and then link it and Striker Dragon away to summon Protector Whelp. When Protector Whelp hits the field, you can send 1 Destruction Sword card from the deck to the graveyard. We'll send a Dragon Buster to the graveyard and end our turn. During the opponent's turn we do the same thing. Activate Prologue, send Memories and Buster Blader to the graveyard, chain Memories, banish Buster Blader, and Striker Dragon to summon Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman and Buster Dragon. Once these two are on the field, you can use Buster Dragon's quick effect to equip Dragon Buster onto Buster Blader, locking your opponent out of the extra deck. What I really like about this deck is how efficient it is. Once you get into the Bestial and Horus cards, you can definitely extend your combos and summon a lot. But the Buster Blader part is very simple and effective. It doesn't rely on a ton of special summons, so as long as you have access to the Prologue Trap, you can keep the number of special summons in check. This makes the deck less vulnerable to cards like Maxi or Mulcharmies. Alright, in this combo I'll show what you can do with Black Metal Dragon and Lubellion. We start by normal summoning Black Metal Dragon, then linking it into Striker Dragon. When Black Metal Dragon is sent to the graveyard, we can search for Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Next, banish Striker Dragon to special summon Darkness Metal Dragon, and use its effect to revive Black Metal Dragon from the graveyard. Now we use Lubellion, sending it to the graveyard to search for Magnamut. Then tribute Darkness Metal to summon Lubellion from the graveyard. Lubellion's effect lets us place Branded Regain directly onto the fields. We then use Magnamut, banishing Darkness Metal to special summon it. Magnamut lets us search for any dragon monster in the end phase. Banishing Darkness Metal also triggers Branded Regain, recycling Darkness Metal back to the bottom of the deck and drawing one random card. Next, we link Lubellion and Black Metal Dragon into Protector Whelp. We'll activate Protector Whelp as Chainlink 1 and Black Metal as Chainlink 2. Black Metal Dragon is not once per turn, so we can search for Darkness Metal again, which we just put back in the deck. And Protector Whelp will send Dragon Buster to the graveyard. Then we link these two into Heretic Seal. And in the end phase, Magnamut lets us search for Druid's Worm. Now we have Heretic Seal, which can bounce any face-up card back to the opponent's hand and special summon a dragon from a deck. For example, Baldrake, which can banish a Fusion, Ritual, Synchro, Xyz or Link monster by tributing another dragon. Like Druid's Worm, which can special summon by banishing a Light or Dark monster from either graveyard, and Druid's Worm can send an opponent's special summon monster to the graveyard when it's sent to the graveyard itself, by tributing it with Baldrake for example. Branded Regained can revive Magnamut when the opponent summons a monster, letting us search for another dragon in the end phase and recycle a banished card back to the deck to draw one card. So even without the Buster Blader lock, this combo provides a lot of interruptions. This combo is a variation of combo number 3, but this time we end on Max Metalmorph to make Red Eyes Full Metal Dragon. We are back at the point where we special summoned Lubellion and place Branded Regained onto the field. Now we link these away to summon Protector Whelp. Now we activate Black Metal Dragon as Chainlink 1 and Protector Whelp as Chainlink 2. To dump Dragon Buster to the graveyard, and Black Metal searches for Red Eyes Full Metal Dragon. Then we use Full Metal's effect to immediately set Max Metalmorph onto the field and then shuffle it back into the deck. Next we special summon Magnamut by banishing Darkness Metal Dragon. This triggers Branded Regained, recycling Darkness Metal back to the bottom of the deck and draw one random card. Finally, we link these two into Heretic Seal. And in the end phase, Magnamut lets you search for Druid's Worm. Now, if you do not have access to the Prologue trap card, you can also choose to not make Protector Whelp. This would leave Magnamut on the field, allowing you to tribute it immediately to summon Red Eyes Full Metal Dragon, which is really nice if you expect your opponent to play board breakers. But even without Magnamut on the field, Druid's Worm can easily be special summoned, and tributing it triggers its graveyard effect. And if your opponent normal special summons a monster, Branded Regained can reborn Magnamut from the graveyard, letting you search for another dragon in the end phase. Then you can tribute Magnamut to bring out Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon. And that's it for the deck profile and combos. If you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh content. Let me know in the comments what your experiences are with the Buster Blader deck, and I see you later.